Jay Printz, Commissioner of District 2. I did bring this forward, and I really appreciate the Planning and Zoning Commission in thinking about this issue. I recognize it was brought up several years ago, and it was defeated. What really brought this to my attention and why I decided I felt it was necessary to bring this up again were a couple of things. One was the flood potential in Wetmore. The folks, because of the Junkin Loop's fire, there was a real threat and remains a real threat for flooding down in Wetmore. The water will roll down, there's nothing to stop it. We heard from many people in Wetmore who said, they called their regular insurer who said, because we don't have a building code, FEMA is not, you can't be a member of FEMA. Without being a member of FEMA, FEMA underwrites the majority of flood insurance. It is true you can buy it from Lloyd's of London without a FEMA underwriting, but it's very expensive. So that kind of got me thinking about it. I also thought about the Junkin's fire when the fire started, when a shed blew over, took down a power line, which sparked the fire, and that's what started it. Now, I will not say if we had a building code and that structure was built to building, this would not have happened. I do not know. I will not profess that. But I worry about those things. But what really got me thinking about this was people who move into a house that's already built. And they look at walls like these and they go, I love the house. I want to move into it. But what they don't know is what's behind the wall. Are the studs put in properly? Are they anchored properly? We've had several roofs that partial roofs blew off, and the insurance companies looked at those and said, well, they never had hurricane anchors, something that we need with our 60 and 80 mile an hour winds. Had we had a building inspector go out there, the building inspector would have said, that doesn't fly, put the anchors in. I worry about the slabs. When a slab freezes and defrosts over a number of years, they crack much sooner if they're not the right thickness. So I worry about that. I worry about the fire code. I went into a house not long ago, and the people were building it themselves, and they put their wood-burning stove up against the wall without any insulation. Definite fire hazard. Had an inspector looked at it, they would have said, no way. I grant you, people are responsible for their own actions, and if they want to burn themselves down or hurt themselves, I guess that's their business, but I really worry about the next generation. You die off, someone inherits that house, or you sell it. Who's looked at this house? Is this house okay? I'm fine, and I mentioned to Vic, it doesn't really matter what I think, but I think if you came in with the minimal building code, that's the 2006 building code and the 2006 fire code, just for homes, I know the homes are safe. Someone's looked at it to make sure that crazy things weren't done, that someone built that either did shortcuts or didn't know how to build. Someone looked at it. I know an inspector would look at it. As far as the cost, I appreciate the gentleman in the back saying it's going to be $20,000. I don't know where this came from. I did my homework before I brought this to you. It's $8,000 to $1,000. Engineering costs are not included in this. All the inspector does is go out 6 to 8 times and look at it as it's being built to make sure that it meets the code. It could be more if they find errors and they make the builder redo it, fix what's wrong. They got to go out, there'll be another expense to that. And who pays for that? The answer is the homeowner pays for it. When you figure the average house in Custer County is $200,000, we're looking at $1,000 as 1/2 of 1% additional cost. I personally feel that's appropriate expense for the safety of the people who are not just building it for themselves, but future generations that move into that house. I see my time is up, but I appreciate it. And I really am in favor of no government, but when we look at safety versus shortcuts, that's my job, is to worry about safety. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jay.
Jay Printz again. Flood insurance, you would think, is probably not a big problem up here. I mean, we live in high desert. The likelihood of a flood coming through is pretty slim. And I never thought much about it until we had this Wetmore issue. And I've looked into this, and Dallas is correct in terms of a lot of what he said, but here's where the truth really lies. FEMA, the Federal Emergency Management Agency, underwrites almost all domestic insurers for flood insurance because flood insurance is so expensive. FEMA will not do that unless the county has a building code. Is this enough to give a building code? I don't know. I mean, that's a decision for you to bring to us. Let the voters make that vote. This gentleman's shaking his head no, so he's opposed to it. But I understand that, you know, and there's two sides to every issue. But I do want to explain that flood insurance, you can buy it. You can buy it from Lloyd's of London, which is not an American company. They charge a lot. You can buy it. And there are some people in Wetmore that did buy Lloyd's of London insurance. But when they went to their regular insurers, domestic insurers, they were told, we don't even offer it because FEMA's not underwriting us, and you can only get FEMA underwriting if you have a building code. So I just want to clear that one issue up. I thank you. I'd like to thank you for your comment, and I agree with you. I probably was out of line. I'm very tired of one person taking things out of context, and I was probably inappropriate. Thank you for bringing that to my attention. I'd like to thank you for bringing this. I brought this in front because it was a concern that I had as a commissioner. I respect 99.9% of the people, plus, minus, it's fine. If it's not going to happen, it's fine. I feel it's my job to bring it in front, and I want to thank you for taking it seriously and deciding whether it's something we should move forward with or not. And if it's not, that's fine also. You know, about 93% of the counties in the United States have a building code. Less than 10% in Colorado do not have one. All of those are on the Eastern Plains, lots of farmland. So somebody thinks it's necessary, but if we don't, that's fine. We've lived for a long time without it. We've been in business since 1876, this county. And we haven't had a building code yet. I suspect we're going to do just fine without one. It's a concern I brought. I really appreciate you taking it seriously. I respect the folks who are opposed to this. That's certainly your opinion. And frankly, a lot of it I agree with. More government is not good. Safety is important, though, and that's what I'm concerned about. So, ma'am, thank you for your comments, and I appreciate the committee doing this.
Thank you, Jay.
My last time, I promise. I absolutely agree with the gentleman who said most houses, when people are buying them, they have an inspection. And they do, and I appreciate it. Most of them do a wonderful job. They look to see how much insulation is in the roof, if the electrical wires, when they plug in that little meter, is hooked up forward or backwards. But the things they can't check if the studs are right unless they remove the sheetrock. That can only be done as it's being built. They can't check to see if the proper roof anchors, when hurricane anchors, the hurricane anchors are put in. They can't see that because that's blocked. So my concern is the building during the process that can't be seen once the walls are up and once the paint are up. That's what I'm concerned about. And, I just feel we as a society have a duty to protect people from themselves, from shoddy builders. Most of them are not. I spoke to every builder I spoke to, and I spoke to a lot of them before I came here, said, I already built the code. As long as it's not a Fremont code, Fremont County has a very restrictive one, and that's why I suggested that you folks look at the 2006 code, because it's safety without the overbearing restrictions. So when I mentioned that, even to every aspect of builders, I'm talking about big corporations, small people, Amish builders, everybody I've talked to, they all said, oh, the 2006, piece of cake, I already do it. And that's wonderful, because then you get a piece of paper that says, an independent set of eyes watch this being built. And even if you're out there every day, unless you're a builder, you might go, I don't know, is that right or not? Those are the kind of things I have a concern about. So I'm in favor of it, but I certainly understand if it's not something that's right for this county at this time. Thank you. And I'm done, I won't talk anymore.